Need a pen, Rob? It's sanitized.
They do have his name tag.
Yep.
No. Oh.
Sarah?
Which Scott, you want to get him locked in? One second, while we're logging in.
So at this time, I'll call for nominations for election of board president.
Tom Farrell.
Tom Farrell nominated by Steve Nelson. Is there any other nominations? Hearing none, I'd ask for a motion that nominations cease and the unanimous ballot be cast.
So moved.
Mr.
Mr. Bundy?
Is there a second for
I'll
that?
second.
By Rob Carmichael. Any discussion? I'll call roll call. Nelson?
Aye.
Carmichael?
Aye.
Schultz?
Aye.
Kapperman?
Aye.
Bundy?
Aye.
Avery? Farrell?
Abstain.
Any abstains? Motion passes. President Farrell?
All right.
For the meeting.
Next is we have a call for nominations for an election for vice president. Okay, nomination of Lori Schultz. Any other nominations? Any other nominations for vice president? And I need a motion and a second to cast the unanimous. We'll give the motion to Mrs. Kapperman. Mr. Nelson, will that be your second then? Second. We cast a unanimous ballot for Lori Schultz as vice president. Mr. Brooks?
Nelson?
Aye.
Carmichael?
Aye.
Schultz?
Abstain.
Kapperman?
Aye.
Bundy?
Aye.
Avery? Farrell?
Aye. Declare that Mrs. Schultz is our vice president. Congratulations, Lori, and thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 6, approval of the agenda. I believe we have no changes to this agenda, so at this time I would entertain a motion for approval of the agenda as published. Mr. Carmichael, second by Kapperman. Further questions or discussion on the agenda for the annual meeting? Hearing none, Mr. Brooks, you're up.
Nelson?
Aye.
Carmichael?
Aye.
Schultz?
Aye.
Kapperman?
Aye.
Bundy?
Aye.
Avery? Farrell?
Aye. Declare the agenda as approved. Item number 7, personnel actions. Mr. Jorgensen.
We have a couple resignations. Sarah Conrad is middle school art teacher, effective at the end of this 2019-2020 school year. And Shar Hansen as custodian, effective July 15th, 2020. We also had some contract changes for the 2021 school year. Joel Caloff from Masters plus 45 to Masters plus 60 at $58,661. And Renee Trigg will move from BA to BA 15 at $45,535 per agreement.
The recommendation from the administration is approval of the personnel actions. Do we have a motion and a second to that effect?
So moved.
Mr. Nelson, second by, I heard it,
Second by Lori.
okay? Questions, discussion on personnel actions?
The issue wasn't behind any of these resignations.
It's not confirmed yet, we're still looking into it.
Good one, Mrs. Gallagher. All right, other discussion? Mr. Brooks?
Nelson.
Aye.
Michael.
Aye.
Schultz.
Aye.
Kappeman.
Aye.
Bundy.
Aye.
Avery. Farrell.
Aye. Declare that the personnel actions are approved. Hearing of delegations and written communications, I believe we have none. So we'll move on to the administrator's report. Mr. Jorgensen.
Just a few items. One, Associated School Board, just a reminder, the joint convention this year will be online. That's in early August. Normally that's held in Sioux Falls in conjunction with the school administrators, but this year it's all going to be online. And you'll be getting stuff from Associated School Boards, so we'll have more information on that coming forward. Teacher openings, currently we have one opening. Middle school art is still open. Parking lot, the high school parking lots, the work is completed on the high school parking lots. The elementary parking lot is still being worked on as we speak. Summer lunch numbers I didn't have from today, but I know the last time I checked late last week, the numbers are still strong for a summer lunch program that we have going on. You're aware that summer activity contact has been suspended. As soon as we're informed of a positive case, we follow our guidelines. We will continue to follow the guidelines that we have in place as we work with Madison Regional Health System and monitor and consider reopening in the future. And again, it's spelled out in our guidelines. The last two things I'll touch base on. One is graduation ceremony. It's planned right now for July 26th. We've checked, there are some options. One option is to have it outside at Trojan Field. The original option obviously was to have it inside in the gym. I did speak with some reps from Madison Regional Hospital who were strongly encouraging an outside versus an inside. But this was also last week. We had 3 cases active. Now we have 14 cases active. So I think we just need to monitor where it goes the next week, what the numbers do, and adjust accordingly. So my recommendation right now would be, as we move forward, plan on being outside. It's my thought, but others may have other thoughts on it, and I would sure love to hear those as we try to figure out what we can do here.
Want to hear now?
Certainly.
Well, I appreciate your optimism about continuing to have it at the end of the month, and I would share in that optimism, but I think people really need to be prepared that it will possibly not occur. I mean, that's up to you, of course, Joe, but I think that if the numbers continue to rise and we go into a different category as far as community spread, that may happen. So we should prepare for that.
Yeah, I think we just need, our thought was to keep the plan going, but to be realistic that the next week's going to dictate a lot, probably, on how we should move forward, what's best for our students and our community. But again, as I talked to those folks from Madison Regional, when I mentioned about inside, they were rather hesitant. They would recommend very limited numbers with being in that situation. We've had some emails as well. We've had a lot of positive emails about the virtual graduation. Had a couple of emails even from some that were very strong, wanting to have the graduation, that have now said it really isn't that issue anymore. But again, we had said all along, that was our hopes to have July 26th. I'm still hoping we can. I just want it to be out there, realistic, that if this changes like it has this last week, I think we have to take a look and decide if that's best moving forward for everybody. That's just my thoughts. So, again, others have it, please share, and we'll go from there.
Be at 2 p.m. outdoors at Trojan Field if we move forward, right?
That would be the recommendation right now. It is available. I checked on that. We did lock that date in just in the event that we would move it outdoors. You know, every time you have something outdoors, all you have to run the risk that weather. You know, if we have rain that day, and I guess we got to determine too if we would move it indoor or just limit it to parents or what we would do. First of all, I guess we hope we don't have rain that day. But having said that, there's just a lot of variables yet until we get to that point, and I think this week is going to tell us a lot. And as we get to the end of the week, then hopefully we can make our plans moving forward, or if we're not moving forward.
Other comments, graduation-wise? Go ahead.
So how many parents or students have expressed interest in having a graduation?
What I have, I don't have today's numbers. What I had from last week, of those that responded, we still had about, I want to say at the time, we still had about 25 that hadn't responded, because that goes to Mr. Shaw. At that time, I believe the number was 15 were not going to attend, for sure. Excuse me, 15 were not going to attend. 14 or 15, that's just off the top of my head. And then we were still waiting on a response from about 25 individuals. And that was on, I want to say, Wednesday or Thursday of last week. He's going to give me the numbers tomorrow and where we're at now.
Are you planning another survey
On,
whether or not people would attend, given the recent?
we certainly can, where we're at with it. And I can find out again where we're at on our actual numbers. That's the numbers I have from Wednesday. So I don't want to sit here and say that now it's 13 aren't and the rest are, because it could be different. But especially with the next day or two, I think it might be good to do that again. Good thoughts. I did have 2 different emails today of people who thanked us for looking at trying to have it. But it also turned around and in the same email said, you know what, they're going to be preparing for college, we're okay. If we have it, fine. If we don't have it, we don't have it. So I get it. We would love to have graduation. But I think we have to weigh the best interest of everything as this week goes on. But as far as sending out another survey, that's easy.
So I would just say, if you do send out that survey, I think, I just would recommend that you still somewhere put in there that still the decision is up to the administration, because the safety of our staff has to be taken into consideration also.
Any other thoughts on that? The other item I'd like to touch on then is the reopening of school in the fall. It's been sort of a hot topic, obviously, not only locally but nationally. And locally, the letter that was sent out to parents was just to inform of the things that we've done, where we're at. I was looking at stuff every day. I was on another 2 meetings today. Have some more information on a flow chart, which I think actually is a pretty good document to follow that we will be looking at. Our committee is going to meet again tomorrow on that and touch on a few more things. I want the board to know that some of these items that we're looking at may involve staffing as we move forward. You know, we're talking about a lot of additional cleaning, and I've only got so many hours a day for staff to do some of those things. Subs are a concern. We look at some long-term subs as well. again, we'll bring forward information on what we feel that we need to do what's best for the safety of all. But there will be some cost involved. There's no doubt about that. We've got some money, some COVID dollars to use as well. The things that were in that letter, we're still trying to get pricing on all that stuff. Some of it is on back order. So can I say from day one everything is going to be there? I don't know that yet, but it's not going to be for lack of trying. So as we get through tomorrow's committee meeting, and again, Madison Regional Health is involved with those meetings as well. We have 3 of the board members involved on the staff and the admin team. We'll keep plugging away on the thought of how we get school started on day one. The charts that we're seeing, and the one that just came out from the Department of Health, has green, yellow, and red. And green is things are pretty normal, but we still have modifications in place at school so we can move forward. The yellow middle one is that now there's been some cases, whether that's the building closing down for a few days or whether it's quarantining going on with students, whatever it may be. That's yellow, and if you get into the red with X number of cases and so on, then it'll be more of that's where you're going to have a 10-day or 14-day closure and go to online when the building's cleaned again and give it time to run its course. So those are some of the things that we're looking at. And even today's meeting, there was a couple more items that came up that are going to be helpful, just trying to put it all together. So I don't know if there are specific questions you have for us right now. It's a daily work. It's the easiest way to put it. 2 steps forward, 1 step back some days, but we're going to keep plugging away. We all know that in person is the best way for us to educate our kids. There's a lot of different things from American Pediatric on the lower grade levels versus the upper grade levels. We're trying to sort all those things out with face masks and not, and 25 other items. So getting some of those PPE items are not that easy. But we're trying, we ordered additional, we had an ionizer, disinfecting guns, a couple of them already from way back when. And back in March, that first week, we ordered more. Supposed to come in this week, so we'll see. That was in March. So it takes time to get some of this stuff because everybody's trying to get it. Other thoughts on things you're hearing as far as the start of school? A few parents I haven't heard a lot, but most have been, I want to get them back in school.
So what equipment have you sought for your teachers?
Same thing. Whether it's face masks, face shields, plexiglass barriers. We're trying to get pricing and orders from all that. So those are the things we're waiting. The disinfectant wipes, we had to go through a different source. Clorox wipes are non-existent. But Hilliard, we could get something there where we could get the containers, but we had to order X number of cases of this towel dispensers in them, and we had to use our own product from Hilliard or wherever to make our own towelettes for the disinfecting and using that. We've got them in now, and they look like they work good, so we'll order some more. But we have to order 5 containers at a time, and with a lot of, it's tied in to buy a lot of cases of towels with it. Each one of those 5 is about a $500 expense. But those are things we need, and if we get them, we're going to get them. We've got some face masks here already, and we have more on order.
What contingency plans do you have for staff that are infected?
Same thing on this, trying to put it together, if they get infected, what the quarantine is. And then there's some of it with the 14 days, 10 days, 80 hours, it's part of it.
Are you going to allow home instruction, basically doing Zoom meetings, still in the classrooms?
Are you talking for a teacher or for the?
For the teacher. Teacher is infected, are you going to allow them to work from home? What are your plans?
Depending on the situation. And as we've talked through that in our meetings, it's sort of a case by case because if I have an instructor that's quarantined, teaching math, for example, probably not the issue. They can probably Zoom, they can try using those things. I have that same instructor that's working in the SEC room with behavior, with special needs, whatever. It's going to be a lot harder to try and Zoom that because I have to have him physically in there. So as we've talked with legal counsel, it'd be on a case-by-case basis, what we can make for modifications and what we can't make for modifications. So we would hope we could, and then depending on how the individual is, if they're feeling sick, and they would be sick, we would have to figure out a sub of some sort for that. Other questions? I see Mrs. Cruz here. Anything you want to add to that from the elementary side?
One item when you asked about face shields, we did order some face shields that are kind of specific to the elementary, that the face shield that everybody's familiar to. But they also have a drape that comes down, so the teachers wouldn't have to wear a mask and a shield, because it's very important for elementary kids to see our face and learn emotion from our faces, but also when you're teaching reading, even to letter sound identification. B says buck. It's important that you see our faces, so they'll hopefully be in place when we start, and hopefully they'll be with us when we start.
We're looking at some face masks as well that have the clear area where the lips are at, or the mouth is, I should say, so you can see that. But again, they all come at a cost. So that's why I'm letting the board know there will be some expenses moving forward with this. The regular cloth face mask versus the one with the clear area in it, about 3, 4 times the cost. But again, for students that are hard of hearing, deaf students, they have to have that. So I mean, those are things we're looking at. And then the other thought is, you get them how many they need per staff, because they got to be washed, they got to be those type of things. So it's not like we can just get one for every staff member. We've got to get a number of them for every staff member. So all those things going into the planning right now.
For the students.
I couldn't hear you.
At that age, I can just imagine how painful that whole mask thing would be to implement for the student. So you do clear masks for them, or no masks, or
That's the big debate going on in every school right now. Recommending masks. I haven't heard of any requiring yet. I think a couple are talking about it. We're talking about on buses how we will strongly recommend on buses especially. But then the American Pediatrics, if you read that publication, and they talk about the lower grade levels that masks maybe aren't the answer. So those are the things that the committee's still trying to work out. Those are things we'll bring forward to the board, and we'll have to make decisions on some of those things.
how would you police it? Who would be in charge of enforcing a little kid who can't breathe under his mask?
And there's other instances with some students because of something they may have that may preclude them from wearing a mask as well.
And really, in that idea, discipline should always be a conversation before consequence. And I think that the instruction that comes before that for little kids in particular is very important. I think the conversation of why, and I wear my mask often, and I ran into little kids who, sometimes said, I think that's her, and when I say hello, then they know it's me. And then, I just explain to them why I wear it. I think the more often we do that to kids, the more at ease they feel, and that, understanding the why, then it becomes, something our team does, and we're all on the same elementary team, so that, if we can have that conversation and teach that, I think we can make it go forward.
And you just watch on the news, how many adults do you see that don't wear them correctly? They wear them, but then their nose is exposed or whatever instead of having them on correctly. So,
well, little Johnny would love to wear it because then he really knows who's talking.
and there's some talk out there too with younger kids. How much will they then be touching and moving them, which is what you don't want them to do, is be touching their face. So, it depends on what they're eating.
I heard from a couple parents this weekend that said their high school kids said, we have to wear masks to get back in school, they didn't want to do that. So I thought that was encouraging to hear some responsibility coming out of some of our youth with that. So that was good.
You want to talk a little bit about self-checking, both staff and student-wise, Joel?
as we looked into that, of course, everybody from day one was talking about, before they got on the bus, temperature check and those type of things. We found out the no-touch temperature checks, you're really sort of going to be in an area for a while before they're going to be accurate. If I come running from the bus at Steve's house and I run the last 100 yards and then warm, it's going to read warm. Or if it's the day in October or November when it's 20 degrees out, everybody's going to read cool. So our thought there right now, and this seems to be a general consensus among pretty much all the schools, is encouraging parents to self-check at home. We'll have a checklist that we have made up. I'll show it to the committee tomorrow of what we'd like parents just to check every day. And when they get to school, we'll still have a number of these touchless thermometers. If I'm in class and I see that Steve looks like he might be a little distant himself with the warm, then I'm going to send Steve to go have his temperature check. Some schools are even looking at maybe that first period, 10 minutes into it, they'll walk around and they'll check everybody in the class. The hard part is not everyone that may have this is going to show temperature anyway. So that seems to be less of a concern than it used to be. But right now, there's scanners out there that you can get for people coming through the doorway. Very expensive scanners, but then you have to have kids come through at least, I think it was 10 or 12 feet apart. Well, by the time you figure that out, it takes a lot of time to get every kid through that door for that purpose. So we'll encourage again and ask parents to help us on that. One of the questions in the survey deals with, are you available if need be, could you transport your child so we have fewer on the bus? And some will be able to do that, some won't. We know that. Country routes, we're talking about the country routes just picking up country. And then the in-town routes either making an extra loop or a second set of in-town buses. Well, we have a couple more buses. We have a couple more drivers right now. But that would be a way of limiting half the amount of kids on the bus. Every school I've talked to is coming up with the same thing with busing. I don't know how we could ever say there will be social distancing in the bus at all times because we can't. We would need to run 40 buses probably. But what we can do is we can say that we're going to have a hand sanitizer as you get on, that we're going to either encourage or recommend or require face masks be worn. Each family will have their own seat. If there's one in that family, they've got their seat. If there's three in that family, they're in that same seat. And then when they leave the bus, hand sanitizer again. Those are the things we know we can control. On nice days, we can crack the windows down a little bit and get more airflow. In November, probably not. So I want parents to know that we're going to do what we can. But as far as social distancing on bus, there's only so much we can do. And that opens up another set of questions on activities. If we get those going, same thing for transportation. Okay? We can't, we're not going to put 65 on a bus to go to an activity. So now we're going to run, whether it's football, band, whatever it is, marching band, it's either going to require additional buses, which is additional drivers, or it's going to require, do we change from this year and have parents transport some of the kids to these things? There's still some legalities we're waiting to hear on that. So with all those things, like I say, every time we think we answer something, we have another question.
That's one of the questions I've been asked, like activities like choir and band and PE.
Choir and band especially are the ones that we're waiting on some reports. We've had some talks with our fine arts people. Putting 80 people in our chorus room singing at the same time is not in any way social distancing or what we need to do. So in high school, we're already looking at a schedule where it would be 4 separate sections, for example. So now you have 15 or 20 in that, and maybe instead of being in the chorus room 15 or 20, they're going to be in bleachers spread out. Are the acoustics going to be the same? They're not. There's no way that it can be. Marching band outside is a better situation. band inside is not a great situation with blowing in the horns and the spit traps and everything else. So we're waiting on guidance again, it's supposed to be coming out from the National Federation, which I haven't seen yet, to give us ideas, so that can be more group, working with this group of kids in band, those are all things we've got to figure out, and I'd like to say there's an easy answer, but for that, every school is really struggling right now with band and chorus and how we do some of those things. Chorus might be a little bit easier to spread out in the gym, and then band, if we get to that point where we have performances, now maybe that's in the gym spread out as well too, and maybe there's no audience. I don't know. Like I said, I wish I could tell you answers for all those things, and I know parents wish they had answers too, but we're still trying to look forward to one of these things. Those are, and then PE to a certain extent, PE, at least we go outside a lot and those type of things, but the band and chorus, and they're important, we need to have it, but it's probably going to look a little different than it has in the past. No way to do it exactly the same.
I guess the other thing I'd like to emphasize is this committee is not working alone. We're working under the guidance of the State Department of Health, we're working under the Department of Education, and we proactively have brought Madison Regional Health in as a part of this. So we're trying to use as many of the resources that are out there for us to be able to try to make what's going to be the best decision for students and for staff, and we have to look at all of those things. And as Joel has indicated many times, what you think today changes tomorrow, and it's even worse the next day. So we're trying to work. I commend the committee for the work we did last week, and I think we're bringing ahead, but there's nothing yet in concrete by any means or the matter.
And I would even go so far as to say that what we bring forward at the end of July, we hope will be where we're at. But just like as much as it changed this last week, a lot can change from the end of July to the 20th of August too. So we got to get prepared to adjust as we need to. Whether that adjustment is depending on the situation, sliding the start date back, changing, I don't know. I think they're all options. Yep.
I can't remember with the athletic association, you know, they gave great guidelines to getting some things going, but do they have a chart similar to what the Department of Health put together for schools?
That was part of our discussion today. They're meeting again, I believe, on Friday, Thursday or Friday. I think they're meeting. I think it's Friday for some reason. There's a lot of questions out there. For example, if School A is going to go play School B, and School B now has 3 kids test positive, okay? Do School A go? Or does School B forfeit? Or does School A forfeit if they don't go? Or what is the determination? And those are the things that we're hoping to get from them. Our meeting today, the large school group dealt with. If we're not getting that from the Activity Association, we're putting together a group of superintendents, ADs, to come up with our own rubric that we would follow so that everyone's on the same page. But again, I don't expect the Activity Association to spell it out that far. The other conversation was as far as attendance in gyms. So if we have social distancing going on during the day as best we can, then at an event, putting 50 kids side by side in the bleachers really isn't social distancing. So how do we handle that? So those are all the things, like I say, every time I think we're moving forward, 3 or 4 more questions come up, and then we go back and we try to figure out best we can.
Has there been any talk of not having sports or extracurricular activities during the fall?
Not yet that I'm aware of. In part that I've heard, basically too, every activity is different.
Yeah.
You know, Tennis is obviously different than football, which is different than cross-country, vice, and fine arts, whatever. So I believe they're going to try to move forward. I believe it'll depend on what happens in the next month. I think a lot of it's going to depend on the colleges and what happens with the colleges and how that moves forward with their activities. I think that will dictate a lot as we get going. So personally, I sure hope we have all of our activities. That would be my goal, but I think we have to be realistic that may or may not happen right now. I sure hope it does, but I don't have an answer. There's a lot of things right now I don't have a very good answer.
Anything else?
So the guidelines from the High School Athletic Association, Department of Health, Department of Education, are they posted somewhere?
Department of Ed is posted on that, subsequent Department of Ed, same with Department of Health, they're all out there. The one from the Activity Association dealt with phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and starting up somewhere like that.
Is there a way that we can put these documents in one place, easily accessible for our community?
I'm sure that John can put links to Department of Health, Department of Ed, and
Well, not links to the whole site, I mean, find the document.
no links to those pages, you know what I'm saying? Yep. But the one thing as you go to Department of Ed, there really is no one spot.
Exactly, exactly.
Even within it, there might be X number of different ones all tied to one at some point. So, yeah, there's a lot of different ones out there. Department of Health, same thing. Their specifics deal more with Corona, and then they do it more statewide. They're supposed to be breaking it down per school, because right now even ours is Lake County. There's more than one school in Lake County. We've been told the Department of Health is working within the campus, and they'll be able to, by using zip code, dial it down to these are the cases in Madison Central, or these are the cases in Chester, or whatever school it is, versus just Lake County. But we don't have that yet. We're being told that's going to happen, but as of yet, even with the positives that we had this last week, I've contacted them a couple times, and part of the whole process we were told is that they would be contacting the schools. I have not been contacted yet. I think the Department of Health is going to be overwhelmed.
Just for like the clarification of the discussion, is in all your meetings and things, has the goal changed from stopping this whole pandemic, or is it still kind of just trying to flatten the curve and getting through it, and leading us through the pandemic?
I don't know how we stop it, but right now it's all of our conversations have been on how do we offer education for this next year. How do we get kids back in the building if at all possible? We can do that, but we've got to be safe about how we do it. And if we have certain things that take place, if we have a number of cases, whether it's students or staff, because part of it is we were hearing that maybe just that class should be quarantined or should be done for a while. The problem is maybe it's the 4th grade class that there's something positive there. Well, they may have siblings that are in middle school and high school as well. The one section of a grade is pretty easy to contain. We know who it is. In high school, we have sophomores with seniors in classes. We have juniors with sophomores in classes. We don't have just seniors or just juniors. 7th and 8th grade we do. 6th, 7th, and 8th we do, for the most part, except for some of the specials, the band, horses, all we got to mix together. So, sort of a big web right there, if we do have. And then the other question is, if we do have one positive may not be the school closure, it may be that grade now is going to be online for a while. Now, if we have X number, then it may be that a building or a district is closed for a while on this going to distance learning. I don't know if that answered your question or not, Steve.
Anything else? Anything else in the administrative report, Mr. Jordan?
I think I'm good.
Anything, Mr. Brooks? Mrs. Lucy, anything from you? Online convention is Thursday, August 6th, starts at 9 a.m. Single district registration, and all of the administrators and board members are included in a single registration. That also will get us all points to keep that goal coming each time. So, and my points drop off greatly this year because I'm past president. So, if we want to keep the all points coming, we got to be sure we're involved. All right, and that takes us on to approval of consent items 10 through 15, grouped for action to expedite the meeting. This group does not limit discussion concerning any item we'd like to have addressed. So, starting with number 10 is designated of official newspaper, being the Madison Daily Leader. Number 11 is designation of bank depositories, Wells Fargo, First Bank and Trust, Great Western, Dakota Federal Credit Union, and East River Federal Credit Union. Number 12 is appointing Ms. Brooks, business manager, as treasurer of all funds of the school district, and authorize him to sign all checks approved by the board, including the trust and now new name custodial account and impressed fund checks. Appoint the board president as co-signer of all checks approved by the board, and authorize Joel Jorgensen, superintendent, or another board member. Historically, we have used the vice president to sign those checks in the absence of the business manager or board president. Number 13 is bonding our employees, business manager, bookkeeper, $100,000 each, activities director, $15,000. 14 is to designate legal counsel, Lammers Schleibecker LLP. And number 15 is appoint business managers, authorized representative of the food service program, title, and IDEA federal funding applications. And the superintendent is authorized representative for all other federal and state programs. So at this time, I'd entertain a motion, and then we could have discussion, or unless someone wants to remove any of those and talk about them separately. So Mr. Bundy makes a motion of the approval of the consent items. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Hanamichael has the second. Any questions or discussion? I guess one question I have is related to number 11. With two additional financial institutions in the community, will they at some point be included also?
We could add them in right now. Because what I do then, we hold our checking account between Wells Fargo and First Bank, but then I seek CD rates from all the banks in town.
Okay. So would that make sense at this point in time to add the two new banks?
Yeah, that'd be good.
Okay. Other questions or discussion on those consent items 10 through 15? Hearing none, Mr. Brooks, would you call the roll with that one addition, please?
Nelson,
Aye.
Hanamichael,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Kappeman,
Aye.
Bundy,
Aye.
Avery, Farrell.
Declare that consent items 10 to 15 have been approved. Items 16 to 21, we'll do the same with this. Put them together unless we wish to pull something out. 16, approve the joining of the Associated School Boards of South Dakota Emergency School Bus Assistance PAC. Approve the publication required by state law of all staff salaries. We have the link to that. Appoint our standing committees, and there was some changes to that, Mr. Brooks, from what was posted. You want to discuss those with the group?
We sent out for some to staff about the committee's openings, and we had for the Health Insurance Fund Committee, Megan Yankee, Kendra Weesey, Jill Cradaville, Nikki Troxel, all volunteered to be part of that.
And that would bring our health committee back to our 13 members that we've had in the past. Appoint surplus property appraisers, Mr. Eichmann, Mr. Fobbs, and Ms. Dr. Cook. Designate school board regular meetings as the second Monday of every month at 5:30 p.m. at Madison Central School District, whether it be Zoom, lunchroom, or boardroom. We're very specific as to that. And then 21, adopt our policy book as the policies that we will use for the year without additions and revisions. First, certainly are made as necessary during the year. Wish to remove any of those, or a motion and a second to approve? Is that Mrs. Kaplan?
Lori,
Lori, okay. Sorry, your voices are muffled a distance away from me.
sorry.
No problem. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Nelson. Questions, discussions? Hearing none, Mr. Brooks.
Nelson,
Aye.
Hanamichael,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Kappaman,
Aye.
Bundy,
Aye.
Avery, Farrell.
Aye. Next is consider a vendor contract with St. Thomas School. Mr. Brooks, is that one yours?
Yep. So with Thrive no longer serving schools, us preparing our own meals, we now become the vendor for St. Thomas. So we'll do the same as we've always done, prepare the meals, deliver them there. We just had to have agreement in place for the state to recognize it. And what is, they'll be following our same guidelines that we use for ourselves. The only thing we're charging them for is food costs, because they'll have their own worker costs. We're not providing them with workers; they're just have their own workers take care of it. So it's $1.40 per meal. They'll, for any extra milks, or they have a afternoon milk, it's 45 cents per carton, and then there's a delivery fee of $5 per day. So that's our agreement with St. Thomas, and we recommend approval of that.
So at this point in time, we'll have a motion and a second to approve that and any discussion. Is there a motion? Mr. Hanamichael, is there a second? Second by Mr. Nelson. Further discussion or questions? I'm assuming St. Thomas is in agreement with the agreement?
They considered it last Wednesday, I think it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Other questions or discussion? Mr. Brooks, guess what I'm going to say in my sleep tonight?
Roll call. Nelson.
Aye.
Hanamichael.
Aye.
Schultz.
Aye.
Kappaman.
Aye.
Bundy.
Aye.
Avery. Farrell.
Aye. Declare that we approve the agreement with St. Thomas School for food service. 23, Health Insurance Committee's recommendation. Mr. Brooks, that's you again.
Yeah. Let me find it here. Take me just a second to grab it.
What happens when you give them too much table space?
Kind of. So I would like to say thank you to our health insurance committee. We met 3 times through Zoom. We also had emails that went back and forth, correspondence on that. It was a very good year for the sense that our fund has grown in reserving. We've been a very healthy health insurance fund. But then the items we were considering took a bit of time to kind of go through and get pricing on. But so what we've kind of come up with, the recommendation of the committee would be to leave our health insurance and dental rates at the same level, so no increase in rates, same level as prior year. The second recommendation is to reduce our out-of-pocket maximums on all plans by $500. And then our third recommendation is to add 3D mammograms under our preventative services on that. Those are the 3 recommendations that we're making, things that we kind of are noteworthy to discuss. The Delta Dental plans that we have, there's been a change under the choice plan, what's called prevention pays. So anytime you have cleaning or exam, that doesn't go against your benefit. You get $1,000 per year. So if you have those things done, they don't count towards that $1,000. So in essence, for somebody that has work done, they'll get an extra $300 to $500 in benefit in a year. And that's at no change or no cost to us. And then we have the recommendations for the For the spots, we sent out an email kind of inquiring for the committee, and those four responded back that they'd like to serve on that. And that was our, and then we also talked about holiday, maybe a premium holiday. If we continue to do well like we have been, there's no sense in necessarily charging the premium and growing our fund balance up really, really high. So that was just a discussion. If that continues on, we bring a recommendation to the board at that time. Any
So
questions?
that would be the recommendation from the insurance committee. If we have a motion and a second, we can have further discussion. So,
Second.
second by Mrs., was that Mrs. Kaplan? Joel again. You get it, Joel?
I'm just gonna start saying my name.
All right. I'm just trying to be fair. Further questions, discussion on the insurance item? It was a pleasure to be on that committee this year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's nice to have a good year.
And again, a credit to our belly buttons and our employees who are a part of that, doing their part to keep it where we're at. So, Mr. Brooks, you can call the roll if you would.
Nelson?
Aye.
Hanamichael?
Aye.
Schultz?
Aye.
Kaplan?
Aye.
Bundy?
Aye.
Avery? Farrell?
I declare that the health insurance recommendations will go into effect as of the 1st of October, minus the 3D mammogram, which was an immediate. Busing agreements, Mr. Jorgensen.
This is a yearly requirement by South Dakota Codified Law 132845. So I have those from Rutland, Chester, and Oldham, Ramona, and they're the exact same pickup points as they have been the last 5, 6 years, whatever. No change at all from any of them.
So we have a recommendation to acknowledge or approve those. A motion and a second, please. Mr. Bundy, I heard. Mr. Nelson, I heard. Questions, discussion?
Is both locations anywhere near any of our health stuff, so we would need to take that into account with our COVID planning?
Community Center, Living Hope, Linfield, no.
Community center would probably be the only one, but the timing would be completely different on that.
Yeah. Otherwise, they're on the edges of town, so. Classic Corner, no. Pizza Ranch, no.
Other questions? Good questions. Mr. Brooks?
Nelson?
Aye.
Hanamichael?
Aye.
Schultz?
Aye.
Kaplan?
Aye.
Bundy?
Aye.
Avery? Farrell?
Aye. We have a runoff for the superintendent's position, East River, for the South Dakota High School Activities Association. Mr. Jorgensen.
Yeah, it came down to Tom Culver of Avon and Heath Larson of Chester. 2 good candidates, just like before. There were 4 good candidates, now there are 2 good candidates. Worked with them both. I would recommend our neighbor, Chester Heath Larson, as representative.
Motion second, we'll have discussion. Or Mr. Okay. That was Lori?
Or,
All right. I'm much further away, Lori. Okay, those two are closer. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Hanamichael. Further discussion on that item? Mr. Jorgensen, I know both individuals, I think both will do well for us, but we'll go with our neighbor on this. Mr. Brooks, only one more time after this.
Nelson?
Aye.
Hanamichael?
Aye.
Schultz?
Aye.
Kaplan?
Aye.
Bundy?
Aye.
Avery? Farrell?
Aye. Motion to adjourn. Who wants that? Mr. Avery, would you like that? Okay, Mr. Avery has the motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank goodness it passed. Okay, we got or at least we have a second. Mr. Bundy. Very good. Mr. Brooks.
Nelson,
Aye.
Hanamichael,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Kappeman,
Aye.
Bundy,
Aye.
Avery, Merrill.
Yes. Declare the meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.